Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and it is the fourth installment for the free follow-along quilt called Glorious and Free. Now, I'd like to just take a minute to thank everybody who has been joining along. It has been a lot of fun doing this with you. And in this week, we are going to do the final border. So let's get started. In each of the videos, there has been a free PDF that you're able to print out. And this is the last week. And what we're going to do is this outside border. And it's going to consist of these little blocks with a straight row. Very easy. Then we're going to add those 4 last maple leaves that we did. These are going to be cornerstones. I'm going to continue with the same color, that tomato red and beautiful white from Northcott. I'm going to cut all the pieces that I need, following the cutting directions, and I do like to use my marked pins to keep me straight. So I'm going to need 3 strips, each cut of the red and white at 2.5 inches. And in the red and white, I need 3 cut at 4.5 inches. We're going to take these piles and we're going to make strip sets. So we're going to take a large and a small and sew them together in units. I'm going to have 3 strip sets of each color. So I'm going to have the red and the large white, the white and the large red. Iron those seams going towards the red in each side. So it's going towards the large one and going towards the small one. When the strip sets are done, we're going to need to cut them apart because we're going to sew them together. We're going to need 40 units that look like this. But there's an easy way to cut them together so that they're all set together when you go to the machine. We're going to need opposite strip sets and we're going to place them together. Because the seams were pressed towards the red, they're going to be able to nestle right along that edge. You're going to be able to feel that that seam is nestled right up to the one underneath. You're also going to be able to tell by the way it's lined up. Match up the entire strip set. Now you can cut your sets. They're going to need to be cut at 2.5 inches. Once you have them all cut out, you're going to be able to keep those 2 pieces together and bring them to the machine just like this. And if you put the small red one on the top and start with your needle here and go down, they're all going to be in the same direction. You need them to go into the same direction. So you must keep the small red one in the same corner. If you sew along the wrong side, the strip set is going to look different and they won't match up. And when these strip sets are sewn together, we need to sew them together again. And that is why it's important to have them going in the same order. And by cutting the strip sets together, it's going to save you time having to match them together, and you'll keep them all in order. So you'll just grab the first 2 and bring it to the machine. You can always pin them and line them up right at the machine. So you're going to need 40 of each of these sets to go to the machine. You'll get anywhere between 16 to 17 little pieces from that strip. And when you're done sewing, you're going to have 40 of these units. Now, I would recommend taking both of those seams and pressing them towards the white. And that's going to open up that little seam here, and it's going to look like a tiny little 4 patch. And that's what you want. It's going to lay nice and flat. And when you're done pressing these, you're going to be able to sew them together. And that is going to make those seams opposing right there in the corner. And you're going to be able to do the same thing as to press one seam going in one direction, one in the other. And you'll be able to just rub that little area with your nail and it's going to open up. So 10 of these together and you're going to have 4 strips. We now have 4 borders. They're 60.5 inches long. What we have left are the 6 strips that we cut from the white at 2.5 inches. And that was the whole width of the fabric. It was letter E, and we need to make 4 strips at 60.5 inches. These long strips are going to match the piece strips, and you need to sew it on the side that has the larger red blocks. When the white has been put on, press the seam towards the white. And the back is going to have this nice clean look with all your little squares, and it's nice and flat. One other thing that I would recommend doing, and it's not mandatory, but this is going to be the very outside edge. And because you have so many little seams, they will have a tendency to pull apart before you get to have it quilted. So I would recommend doing a stitch and it's not stitching anything together. You're just stitching along, and that's going to keep those seams from coming apart. So use a small seam allowance, like 1/8 of an inch, anything smaller than 1/4 of an inch. And it's going to keep it nice until you get it quilted. We now have 4 borders and the 4 final maple leaves. If you do this top stitching, I would recommend to do the top stitching along the top 2 corners. And that is for the same reason, just so that you don't have those seams coming apart. So just stitch like you've done for the top here to hold all those seams together. Take 2 of those long borders and put maple leaves on each end. The first one, you're going to have your little red square, the white border. Have the stem coming into that white. Then if you go all the way to the other side, the stem is also going to go towards the white. The leaf points are going to be pointing into the quilt. The borders are done, let's put them on the quilt. And because the quilt is a square, you're going to be able to choose any 2 sides opposing each other to put the borders on. That white border is going to get sewn on the red piece. And that is why we did that extra row of stitching here to secure it. So match up your edges and sew this border on 2 opposing sides. Now we're able to put on the very last border, and those leaf points are going to go in towards the quilt. And the corners are slightly different because of the way the pattern goes. You have your 2 small on one side and the 2 large on the other. Glorious and Free is now done. This was a fun quilt to make with the maple leaves and all those checkered blocks inside. It was really easy to put together. Now this was done with only 2 different fabrics, but it could be done with many different fabrics using up scraps. Each maple leaf and every checker could be done in a different color. It would be a totally different looking quilt. I do hope you give it a try, and as always, thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're doing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.